This story is adapted from Reddit. My ex isolated me from my family and called me immature till I grew up and left. You ever find yourself falling for someone and it feels like the calm before the storm, deep down in your subconscious mind? Until you realize they are actually the storm? My name is Emily, and I'm a 29-year-old woman now. For the past 2 years, I was in a relationship with a 35-year-old man. Let's call him Bryce. When we first met, he had this quiet confidence, like he'd figured out the meaning of life while the rest of us were still fumbling through it. He always spoke with this certainty, looking people dead in the eye. He seemed so put together. I found that so magnetic and captivating. He reeled me in, and I felt like I'd finally found home. But I should have known. Sometimes that much confidence is just a guise for control. In the beginning, I fell hard. He listened so intently when I talked about my goals and aspirations, even the small ones. I told him about my dream of starting a podcast and about wanting to finally finish the children's book that I started years ago. He encouraged me and made me feel like he was my safe space. Moving in with him was a no-brainer. He was the kind of guy that I could just be quiet with. Not awkward silence, but peaceful. I clung to all of our moments like they were my security blanket. Like, finally, I found validation in this amazing guy. But then the questions started coming. "Why do you call your mom every single day?" he asked one night, his voice low and laced with something sharp. "You're almost 30, you know." I laughed it off, not thinking it was that deep. "We're close," I said. "I like keeping in touch." He looked at me like I was a toddler and said, "You need to cut the cord." That was the first jab. I couldn't have known that it wouldn't be the last. It was little things at first, things that could easily be brushed off, like a sarcastic comment when my sister found out anything before him. Then it was a snide remark when I went to visit my family for the weekend. He started calling me clingy for wanting to FaceTime my dad when he fell ill. "You're too attached, Emmy," he said one morning over a cup of coffee. "It's childish. This can't be healthy. I'm just looking out for you in the long run." Childish. That word started to haunt me. It always came right before the storm. I was so in love that I tried to shrink myself into his mold. I became quieter, more agreeable, and he praised these changes, talking about how I was becoming a better woman. Like a fool, I lapped up his praise, craving more. I stopped talking about my day at work because what he had to say was infinitely somehow better, more important. I stopped answering back and arguing, even when I disagreed, because it always ended the same way, with me apologizing for being too emotional and too sensitive. And the worst part, I stopped calling my parents. My world got smaller and smaller. I told myself it was just for a little while, just until things settled with Bryce. But the truth was, I got scared. My heart beat so fast in my chest at the idea of talking to them with him anywhere nearby, and it gave me such bad anxiety. Every word I said to my family when he was within earshot was another reason for him to roll his eyes at me. It was another piece of ammunition for him to use against me. I can't believe how immature you are sometimes, he said derisively to me one night. And this was after I laughed at a silly TikTok that my cousin sent me. You really need to grow up. One night I was in the kitchen making a pasta dinner, one of Bryce's favorites. Go figure. And he was in the living room watching a baseball game. I was stirring the pasta when my phone buzzed. It was a text message from my mom. Just a simple, thinking of you, I love you. I didn't reply. I couldn't. I froze. And that's when something inside of me cracked. I stood there, wooden spoon in hand, staring sightlessly at my phone screen. My other hand clutched the kitchen countertop like it was a lifeline. The smell of garlic and tomato permeated the kitchen, and instead of scintillating my taste buds, I just felt numb. When had I become this person? So paralyzed by fear that I couldn't reply to my own mother. Why had I allowed Bryce's opinions to change me so much? Why did I give him so much power over me? I realized that I had become someone I didn't recognize, and when I looked inside myself, I didn't like what I saw. I realized that the power was in my hands, unless I gave it away. I was in control of me, not Bryce. Still, in a bit of a daze, I picked up my phone and I walked into the living room. Bryce, I said, my voice shaky but loud enough to cut through the noise. Yeah, he replied distractedly, eyes still on the game that was on TV. I'm done, I stated. That got his attention, and he looked at me then, a confused expression on his face. Done with dinner? No. This, I said, motioning around the room. Us, I continued. What? Bryce interjected before I could continue. What's going on, Emmy? My mom sent me a text, and do you know what I did? I froze. Scared. To text my own mom. Emmy, he tried to cut in. Don't. I don't know who I am anymore, but I know I'm not this. I'm not this timid, scared person. I'm not this shadow that I've become. Why are you doing this to us? Bryce said. Because of a text from Mommy? He sneered. I knew he wasn't going to get it. But still, I just said, no, not because of a text from Mommy. I've finally woken up. Finally. Because I haven't been myself since I met you. Because I let you convince me it was somehow a bad thing to love and be loved by my family. I miss them. And I miss me. So I'm letting you go. It wasn't easy, but I moved out. I moved out the next day. A friend let me sleep on their couch till I got a new apartment 2 weeks later. I cried alone in my new apartment for the first time since I left Bryce. Not because I missed him, but Because for the first time in years, I was reclaiming me. I called my mom and we cried together on the phone. We cried for the time we had lost and because finally I was free. Now, I talk to my parents and my sister whenever I feel like it. I laugh without shame at all the funny TikToks my cousin sends me, and I've started to find my confidence again. And I realized growing up doesn't mean cutting off the people who love you to prove some kind of point. No, growing up means having the courage to walk away from unhealthy situations and from the people who just don't have your best interests at heart. So, yeah, maybe I was immature sometimes, but growing up hasn't felt this good since then. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, subscribe, like, turn on your post notifications so we can let you know as soon as the next video is up.